Colorado might seem perfect, right? Tall mountains, blue skies, well-kept towns. But take a turn off the main road, step off the tourist map, and you'll see something else. Quiet little towns, expensive gas, shuttered stores, and signs barely hanging on in the desert wind. This is where the real story begins. Not about vacations, but about survival. About the people who never left, even after everything else was gone. A place where dust, silence, and the past all blend together. This is the Colorado people rarely talk about. Raw, honest, and full of scars. Paonia was once known for the rumble of mining equipment and the rich scent of fertile soil in the North Fork Valley. It's home to the West Elk Mine, a major coal operation that supported the local economy for decades. But as other mines like Elk Creek and Somerset shut down, the town's energy began to fade. Many families lost their jobs, and younger generations moved away in search of better opportunities. Now, fruit orchards, organic farms, and vineyards have taken the place of smokestacks. Paonia has transformed into a hub for sustainable farming, attracting artists and environmental activists. Interestingly, some residents here live entirely off-grid, relying on solar panels and rainwater for their daily needs. A small town once known as the friendliest town around. Just 20 minutes from Paonia, Hotchkiss feels like the quieter, more conservative older sibling. It was once a key trading point for produce from the North Fork Valley. Apples, cherries, and organic vegetables shipped across Colorado. But as large-scale farming and commercial distributors took over, local businesses in Hotchkiss struggled to stay afloat. According to census data, the median household income here is about $58,000 per year, well below the state average. In the past, locals relied on Bowie resource partners and fruit farming, especially apples, peaches, and cherries. But since the mine shut down in 2016, the impact has been felt everywhere. What's worth noting is that despite its small remote setting, Hotchkiss once hosted the Delta County Fair, a yearly event that used to attract thousands of visitors. About 10 miles from Delta lies Olathe, a small town once thriving on sweet corn, now slowly losing its own sweetness. With a population of only around 1,900, many say Olathe is starting to feel like a town that's been forgotten. The Olathe Sweet Corn Festival was once a proud summer tradition, a lively harvest celebration held every August. But it came to a halt during the pandemic and still hasn't truly returned. The fields that were once green have dried up due to drought and rising water costs. Surprisingly, even though this town is known as the biggest corn producer in western Colorado, more than 24% of its residents live below the poverty line. If Olathe is starting to lose its charm, then Delta feels like a town aging too fast. Located between fruit orchards and dry fields on the western slope, Delta used to be a hub for trade and farming. But now, many call it one of the most depressing small towns in western Colorado. Its population is around 10,000, but the poverty rate reaches nearly 20%. Many old buildings downtown are left empty, and small businesses struggle to survive due to the stagnant local economy. Still, Delta has its appeal. There's a Ute History Museum, a reminder that the area was once full of life and culture. But today, Delta feels stuck between a glorious past and an uncertain future. In the wide stretch of San Luis Valley, Alamosa looks like a town refusing to die among cold plains and salt flats. At first glance, it's beautiful. The Sangre de Cristo Mountains rise in the distance, and the sky is clear blue. But behind that, this town of about 10,000 people battles a poverty rate that hits 18%, one of the highest in Colorado. Interestingly, Alamosa is known as the coldest town in the state. It once hit minus 36 degrees Celsius in winter. The cold gets so extreme, household pipes freeze solid. In the past, the town thrived thanks to the Denver and Rio Grande Western Railroad. But as the economy shifted, many businesses shut down and younger generations left to seek better opportunities. Today, only Adams State University and a bit of tourism keep Alamosa alive. Pueblo was once a proud symbol of America's steel industry. In the early 20th century, it was known as the Steel City of the West for being home to the Colorado Fuel and Iron Company, CF&I, a steel giant that once employed thousands. But as the national steel industry declined, Pueblo lost its way. Now, many factory buildings are abandoned, and poverty levels are near 20%. Even so, the city still shows grit, street murals, a strong Latin community, and a persistent working-class spirit. However, social problems like high crime and unemployment continue to loom. Interestingly, Pueblo is known for having one of the lowest costs of living in Colorado, but ironically, low prices often come with limited opportunity. Trinidad was once a noisy mining town on Colorado's southern border, full of workers, smoke, and the tough life typical of the Wild West. But when the coal industry collapsed, it was like Trinidad lost its breath. People left, shops closed, and the main streets slowly faded into memories. Still, the town isn't completely dead. Its hidden spot in a valley between New Mexico and Colorado makes it a strange yet captivating stopover. Today, Trinidad is known as the last gateway before the border, a quiet town with a mysterious aura that leaves many wondering, how does a place this small still survive in the desert of time? The name might sound big, but in reality, this city is one of the hardest places to live in Colorado. It used to grow thanks to factories, oil refineries, and industrial routes. But that legacy also left behind heavy air and soil pollution, causing the quality of life to drop sharply. Many low-income families live near the industrial zones, where nitrogen dioxide pollution is among the highest in the state. Even though the government has tried to revitalize the area, the gap remains wide. Old houses stand beside metal warehouses and rusty train tracks. Ironically, the name Commerce City now feels like a relic. Trade and heavy industry once thrived here, but today all that's left is a city built on hard work. Aurora isn't a small town, but its story fits this list because it shows how a big city can still feel far from prosperity. Even though it borders Denver directly, Aurora is often called the forgotten side of the metro area. many eastern parts of the city still lack basic facilities, and poverty in some districts goes beyond 11%. On top of that, the city has faced rising issues with safety and homelessness over the past decade. Ironically, Aurora has a long history as a military city and is home to Buckley Space Force Base, but many veterans here still struggle just to live a decent life. A farming town thriving on Colorado's northern plains, but behind the scent of hay and the sound of cattle from the ranches, the city holds a darker side of modern rural life. Greeley was once known as a meat packing center, but over time, many plants shut down and low-wage jobs became the norm. The poverty rate sits around 15%, and the air quality is often poor due to a mix of industrial activity and large surrounding feedlots. Believe it or not, Greeley was once labeled one of the smelliest cities in America, thanks to the mix of methane from livestock and waste from meat factories. While the city is trying to rise again through its university and public art projects, in reality, many residents still struggle with high living costs and uneven income. Welby might sound like a peaceful small town on Denver's northern edge, but the truth is far from ideal. This community isn't an official city, it's more of a neglected area stuck between two worlds, big city and countryside. What makes Welby stand out is its past. It used to be known for vegetable gardens and small farms that supplied Denver's markets. But as urbanization took over, those lands were cleared for industrial sites and warehouses. Now, the area is filled with half-abandoned buildings and aging, low-cost homes left without care. Rifle may not be as big as other cities in Colorado, but its story reflects the tough side of life in the western mountain region. Once known as a town for oil and natural gas, Rifle enjoyed economic highs during the energy boom. But when oil prices dropped, many workers lost their jobs, and the town slowly slipped into economic quiet. One unique detail: Rifle uses a gun as a symbol of city identity. Even its name comes from a rifle found by a hunter in the area back in the 19th century. Today, the town is trying to stay afloat through outdoor tourism and nature adventures, but it still struggles to escape the shadow of its fading industrial past. Craig is one of the most remote towns in northwest Colorado, a place where the economy and nature quietly battle each other. The town once thrived on coal mining and a steam power plant, but as clean energy policies took hold, those industries slowly faded. As a result, thousands lost their jobs, and Craig's population has dropped nearly 10% over the past decade. At one point, Craig was even called the elk hunting capital of the world, because the surrounding forests were a haven for big game hunters. Now, however, many stores have closed, and empty homes line the main streets. Grand Junction is often seen as Colorado's western gateway, where desert landscapes, fertile valleys, and striking red mountains meet. But behind all that beauty, the city faces some serious social challenges. Long reliant on oil, gas, and agriculture, Grand Junction is now dealing with economic decline and an unemployment rate higher than the state average. Once celebrated for producing some of Colorado's best peaches, the city's farming sector has been hit hard by drought and climate change. In recent years, Grand Junction has also faced rising homelessness and opioid abuse, making it one of the most complex social crisis zones in the western part of the state. A small town in Colorado's high country that was once the heart of America's silver rush. Imagine, back in the late 1800s, its streets were packed with miners, bars, and gambling halls. But that boom didn't last. Once the mines shut down, Leadville seemed frozen in time. Its old buildings still stand, though many now sit empty. Today, it's known as one of the highest towns in America, with thin air and a quiet but charming atmosphere. While the economy remains stagnant, its true appeal lies in that stillness, as if time stopped here, leaving behind traces of a glory that never fully disappeared.